It's June 21st, 1983. I'm with Mr. Andy Gibb. It is a long time coming because I waited to do this. When you were here doing Pirates last summer, you did a small press conference, and I said, no, if I can't sit down and talk with him by myself, I don't want to do it. And I'm finally getting the opportunity. It's a pleasure to meet Andy Gibb. You were extremely talented actor, singer, and I think it's a pleasure to meet you. Finally, I'm so glad.
Am I all those things?
Yes, you are all those things.
Thank you.
You're in Toronto, you're taping a television show. But that sort of, when I read your bio, when I do research on Andy Gibb, I'm like, this guy has to be 45 years old. Gold record, Broadway, television, this, and that.
Yeah.
How do you find the energy and the confidence to handle all these different things?
Well, a while back, I made a decision in my mind that before I die in this world, I want to have gone out trying everything you can possibly try in show business, all different kinds of things. Why be limited to just making records? Why be limited to just being a television star? I thought, well, I want to put my finger in all different pies, try Broadway, theater, and it's fun for me. I mean, there are times when I feel 45 years old, but it's fun for me just to try all those different things, and it's a great experience. I don't really find it any great strain.
Because you're so young, and I say we're both young, and I know people don't take, it's difficult to take me seriously, you have to pay your dues, you have to be in the business a lot longer. When you're going to host a television show, when you're going to star in a Broadway musical, do you have to prove yourself, or is it your talent?
I think every artist, no matter how big he is, every time he's out on a stage or in front of a camera, you're always proving yourself again. You always have to prove yourself up to that point. It's like making a big #1 album. I mean, the follow-up to it has to prove that you can follow up and keep going. You're always proving yourself all the time.
You have lived in so many places, and they all, is it Ibiza? How do you say it?
Well, a lot of English or Americans, Canadians or whatever, they say Ibiza, but the Spanish pronounce Z as TH, so it's Ibiza.
Ibiza.
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful place.
That's where my growing up was done. That's where I started performing for the first time. That's where all my real childhood memories are, so to speak.
Was it hard to find friends and go to school when you had to move so much? I mean, you moved in Australia, Spain, and back to England, back and forth. Did you ever get off the plane, Andy?
Well, what consequently happened is that I ended up making very few friends my own age. Always older people, because I was always with my brothers, always in television studios, around adults. And I left school very young, because I had no time for kids my own age, until now. Now at my age, I get on with people my age. But at 13, 14, or even younger, I just had no time. I was above everybody in my own age. Or I thought I was.
You had the companionship of your family.
Yeah.
Did you miss your childhood? Did you realize at that time that there was something else?
Well, no. At that time, I may not have realized it, but now looking back, I realized I know what other kind of life I could have had, or what other kind of upbringing I could have had. And I don't think I regret it. I don't think I would do it the other way. I like the way I was brought up. And I had a lot of interesting times back then, a lot of good fun.
Did you always have singing around the house? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Was there always someone singing?
Usually my brothers, of course. As far back as I can remember, my brothers were professional performers. So there was always music in the house.
Who was the first person who said, "Come on, Andy, sing"? Was it expected? Did all the Gibbs?
Excuse me.
Did all the Gibbs have to sing? I mean, was the talent is there?
No, it wasn't a must. Until I was about 12, I had no intentions of being a singer. I thought I would try motocross, all different things I wanted to do. I had no love for music. I mean, I still traveled with my brothers a lot on tour, but I had no real plans of me being a performer. Then I moved to Ibiza, and that's when I saw this little piano bar where I started to work. And it just came along naturally to me. Until one day when I moved to Australia, my brother Barry said, "Come out to America, I want to make a record with you." So it wasn't expected. I wasn't sent to Australia or to Ibiza to be told, perform and get your background and get your experience here. It just happened that way. But I was never pressured by the family at all.
What kind of music did you play as a British Isle man or in the little clubs in Ibiza? Like, do you remember what kind of stuff you did?
Yeah. At that time, because it was very much required of you, it was top 40 stuff, top 40, the hits of the time. And of course, sprinkled with a lot of Bee Gee hits. in the middle. That was kind of expected of me too, to sing a few of their hits.
That's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was the easiest thing in the world for me because we had the similar sound. As far as singing it, it was a great pleasure and easy to do. But after a while, I realized that I am not the Bee Gees. I don't want to spend my whole life singing Bee Gee hits. And of course, now I don't.
Who is influential as far as music to Andy Gibb? I think besides the brothers, those are okay.
Gee, there was no actual... If there's any one person I could name, it would be Don McLean.
You remind me, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
You remind me, yeah, very
Well, I grew up on listening to all his albums, and I know every song he's ever written, just about. And I used to play them just about around the clock, flip one side over and keep playing them. I knew every word, and his words are very meaningful, very philosophical, and it's, I don't know, it was a very important part of my life when I discovered him. And recently, when I was hosting Solid Gold, he was a guest on the show. And he went up to him in his dressing room, and I never met him before that. And I said, "Oh, Mr. McLean." And he said, "Andy Gibb," he said, "I want to thank you for all the good press you've given me through the years."
Are you taken aback by that?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, he treated me like, not a fan, but I mean, as much his respect for me as I had for him. And when I thought back, when I was doing nothing, and he had, like, American Pie out and Vincent, and I was completely an unknown, I think back to then, this man now is almost a fan of mine. That is kind of that takes you back a bit.
That must make you feel great, because when there's hard times, and there's hard times for all of us,
Mhm.
you can think about those nice little moments and think,
Sure.
yeah, I'm going to stick with it, I'm not going to give up, and I admire you for that. I mean, you know, it's hard, this business is a killer. The ups are the best, and the downs are the worst.
Well, the past few months, I've probably gone through my all-time down, my all-time low as far, not the past few months, I should say, past 6-7 months, or 6 months ago.
Mhm.
I've been coming out of it since then. But I mean, I was in terrible depression. My career was at an all-time low. You know, there was no records, which will be coming up soon. Again, it was just getting my life back together again, getting the energy to get out and work again, because life goes on.
Well, I mean, I was born the same day as you. And
You were March 5th?
yeah.
My goodness, what a coincidence.
So I'm reading, because I knew that you were March, and I'm going like, isn't that interesting? And it's you know, it's hard. My sister's a nurse and my brother's a doctor.
Mhm.
She wants show business, and it's like, you know, you sure there's not something else you want to do, Marcy? No, this is what I want to do. But then when I'm going home and complaining, well, you can always get out of it. You can be a secretary.
Yes.
Would you want to get out of it? Could you ever shut the door completely?
No, I couldn't. I couldn't do anything else. I have no education as such. I mean, I've never passed an exam or have any kind of degree, because, I mean, I left school at 13. I didn't care about school. No, I couldn't do anything else, and I don't really think I want to do anything else anymore.
Princess Diana said that to Roger Moore at a dinner, that his son was being tutored by the same person that taught her, and she said, "Oh, what are you wasting your time? I never passed an exam in my
No,
life.
she's
Look where I am." And
correct.
I'm going, oh, it's so beautiful.
What a shame she got married too soon. What a beautiful woman.
If you only knew, Di. Can we talk about Andy Gibb music before we get into Broadway? I want to talk about it. Okay, the teen idol, the girls screaming and yelling, and the music. What kind of songs did Andy Gibb sing? Like, let's talk about I Just Want to Be Your Everything, Shadow Dancing.
Oh, gee, going back to those, I mean, they had no actual meaning for me. I didn't write those songs, but they have a good memory for me. I don't get the screams now like I used to get them. I think it was just a fad at the time, a thing that was happening, a teeny bopper idol thing. But I describe myself best, performing-wise, as very much a romantic. And if I can win my audience through that and love songs, that's probably what I like to do best.
Was recording easy for you, going into the studio and recording? Do you remember recording words and music? Tell me about it.
Well, the very first time I was in the studio was, of course, with my brother Barry. He produced and wrote I Just Want to Be Your Everything. And also my first few albums. I like the studio very much, and I miss it. It was very easy for me because I had the finest producer to take care of me, to make sure everything went very smoothly. So it was a very rewarding experience. And I enjoyed working with him.
Did you think the songs that were hits would be hits? Do you have a feeling about that?
We had it after like the third or fourth, we had an idea of what possibly could be a hit, because I already had a following built by then, so we kind of could kind of predict. But the very first record, before anybody had ever heard of me, it was between that and the second song I released called Love is Thicker Than Water. So we didn't know which one we were going to release first. I Just Want to Be Your Everything, or Thicker Than Water. It almost came out to be Thicker Than Water. And I just had a hunch that if it wasn't going to be a hit for the first single. And thank God it wasn't. But it was number one for the second single.
Is it nice to have Barry with you? I mean, is it a brotherly thing, or is it sort of a business? I mean, is it both?
No, we're like that. We're so tight, it's ridiculous. I just don't like being that long away from him, to be honest with you. We're very, very close. The whole family is very, very close.
That's nice. I was just talking to Gladys Knight, and she's got the kids with her and everybody.
Right, she's a lovely
And the
woman.
family, like she said, the family around reminds her that this is just a job, and they're there to tell her.
Keep
that
bringing it
when
down to love, down to the
yeah,
right level. Yes.
Is it? And it's how do you keep yourself down to earth?
A very, very similar way, my family. I mean, I spend every second day just about with my parents. Or they come over to my house, I go over to their house. Also, I got people around me, assistant-wise, that have been with me for many, many years. And they won't let me fly off the handle. They won't let me get up in the clouds. You know, and I don't go clubbing. I'm not a socializer. I don't party. Not anymore. I used to quite a bit. But not now. I'm kind of reclusive. I just keep to myself. And that keeps me on even keel.
Tell me about working in Paris. I had the pleasure of sitting at the back of the theater and watching you, which I thought you were terrific. And I also saw you do Joseph.
Oh, you saw
and
Joseph on
I
Broadway?
don't think there's many people in Toronto that can say that. Yeah,
Well, I think I was far superior in Joseph. Far superior, I must say. And it was a better production all round. Well, I don't want to put down anybody in the show of Pirates because the whole cast were magnificent here. We just had a very, very cheap production budget. I mean, it was frightening. I mean, me and Barry Bostwick threatened to leave twice in the 2 weeks, the week we did it, 2 weeks.
Some show without the two of you.
Well, you know, after doing it at the Armisen Theatre in LA for Joe Papp, and we had the Broadway production in LA. I mean, it was fantastic. It really was. The sound was magnificent.
What was it like for you to have a role like that? I mean,
it's great. I love Frederick. I love the role of Frederick. But I just want to say, when I was here, I got a lot of bad press in my throat because I was coughing up blood between shows. I had a terribly bad infection. And I was getting bad press from it. One person said, Barry Bostwick's so good, we can even forgive Andy Gibb's voice. Things like that. And to have a PA system like we had on top of my voice, I mean, it was murder. I got shouts from the audience some nights, people shouting at me to get off. It wasn't a very pleasant experience doing Pirates, I must admit.
people aren't understanding. Like, they love you when you're up there.
Oh, yeah.
But when you just there.
I mean, they feel they pay the money to come in and see me. I should be on top form. And of course, I should be. But at least I made the effort to go out there anyway. At least I'm on that stage. I could be sitting back there with all notes from doctors saying I'm not going on. I made every single performance here. And
Well, that's what's important.
but you should be on top form. It's just an unfortunate circumstances.
Doing Broadway, doing Joseph Papp. I mean, my gosh. I mean, could you believe it? How did you find out that you had the role and what happened?
Well, when we were doing Something's Afoot, we taped Something's Afoot up here at the Elgin, with Gene Stapleton and myself. And the director of the show was Tony Tenner, who directed Joseph on Broadway. He directed us up here. And I told him how much I loved Joseph, and I'd been asked if I'd be interested in doing it. And at first Tony said, no, darling, he's a typical choreographer. No, darling, I don't think you'd be right for the part at all. And it's not for you, because it's basically his baby, Joseph. And I said, you sure? And as days went by, as he saw me more in Something's Afoot, he started to think I could do Joseph. So I went to New York, I had lots and lots of rehearsals, went back to LA first, then back to New York. And you know something I shouldn't say I had lots and lots of rehearsals. I'm thinking of another show. I didn't. I had 4 days rehearsal. And I joined them in Philadelphia at the end of the touring company. I did a month in Philly and 2 on Broadway. And I was supposed to do another 5 on Broadway. And I couldn't handle it. My voice was just giving out again. I mean, it wasn't infected. It just couldn't take it every single night with like 40 singers behind you. So there was a lot of mixed press about that, about reasons for missing shows, but I just could not handle it. So it was a mutual agreement that I split and get out of the show. But I do miss that show.
Well, the jumping and I love
the music.
I love
the music
men,
is
but
just
yeah, the
fantastic.
music, and I went to see the film, and there's so much, and the music is great. So what songs did you like doing the best?
Are we talking about Joseph or Pirates?
Let's start with Pirates first.
Okay, well, Pirates, it's all great. It's all Gilbert and Sullivan. It's all fantastic. I like my big solo number. Oh, is there not one maiden breast? Use your own imagination. I got a funny story if you want to hear that.
Yeah, I do want to hear it. We want unusual stories too.
I did Pirates for Joe Papp in LA, not in New York. And one night, Joseph, on Broadway, which was not Joe Papp production, it was Zeb Buckman production. One night, anyway, Barry Bostwick is just about to leave the stage and leave me on stage with Ruth, which was not Joe Papp production, Zeb Buckman production. One night, anyway, Barry Bostwick, he's just about to leave the stage and leave me on stage with Ruth, my nanny, so to speak. And as Barry Bostwick's leaving, he says, I'm looking upstage, looking at Barry, so the audience can't see my face. But Barry opens up one side of his shirt to reveal the left side of his chest to me. I thought, what's he doing that for? And everybody's laughing in the wings. I thought, they're putting me off, what's going on? So I start to sing this song to all the maidens at the front. Oh, is there not one maiden breast? And as I looked beside one of the girls, there's a girl in the front row with her whole left breast hanging out. And everybody on stage knew it, but the audience couldn't see her because she's in the front row. And I'm trying not to look at her. Through the whole show, she had her one part of her bra down, and she had no idea. She had no idea at all. Of course, we were all in stitches.
That's just showbiz, and you had to keep your cool. And
I kept my cool, but if I look stage left and right, all the cast are in the wings in stitches, doubled over laughing.
That training. How do you keep your cool in a situation like that?
You ignore everybody in the wings, and you just focus on where you are. Where you are in the show. And I mean, I was on the verge of just laughing my head off, but I don't think I ever showed it. I think I was totally collected all the time.
So try to think back, people in the audience, to that night, to see if you could think of where that
Do you remember? I'll bet when she's listening to this.
Do you remember, lady, you almost ruined my career.
Yes. Yeah,
Now,
almost ruined yours.
Tell me about Joseph. An entirely different situation.
Entirely different show. That's the love of my life, Joseph. I think we got mixed up a bit before. Joseph was the one I said that mutual agreement I let. Pirates I did for 4 months and finished all the shows. Joseph was the one that I really wanted to stay on for, but it was just too much of my throat. So, but again, it's the show that I love more than any other show I've done.
Why do you love it so much?
It's just the music. I mean, I think it's the best music that Weber and Rice have ever written, even over Superstar or Evita. And it's probably the most unfamiliar music. Most people are very unfamiliar with Joseph's score. Excuse me. It's just so gay and bright, and the music.
Any funny stories about Joseph? Anything about the coat and that? Joseph is a big production.
Well, there was one night, but it's no real big. It's more funny at the time. It's not so much funny later. And that was, I came out, and we had a very good sound system on Broadway. And I came out, and my opening line is when I'm given the coat. It's, when I got to try it on, I knew my sheepskin days were gone. So I got the coat on, but I'm going to sing the opening line, and I think I can hear myself okay on stage, but I'm dead in the audience, not a sound. I'm just mouthing, and I can just hear the stage monitors. And so Sharon Brown, my little narrator, comes up running up to me, and she goes, "They can't hear you." And I go, "Oh, really?" So she said, "Use one of the shotgun mics on the floor." So I'm pointing to the shotgun. They still couldn't hear me. So Sharon actually walks out on the stage and hands me a little remote pack. The audience can see it. I've got the pack in my hand and a little mic in the other hand, which should all be in your shirt and in the back of your jeans or something. So the audience can see me fiddling with it, and there's still nothing coming out. And I'm fiddling with the mic in front of full view of the audience. And then I get up on a big rock at the back of the stage, and half the song's finished, just about. It's a shame. Then all of a sudden something happened, it clicked, and the place just went... It was so loud, it went boom! That was more funny at the time. Then I got a standing ovation because they got to hear me. Everybody stood up and gave me a big applause. And we did.
Okay, I'm wrapping it up. I don't want to say goodbye, Andy. Andy, tell me a Christmas story. We're putting together a Christmas. Tell me a Christmas story. Yeah, think about. Think about. I was going to.
We're not very Christmassy people with high presents. Like what?
I don't know. Was there? Well, what were the different Christmases, say, in Spain? Or do you remember Christmas like where the family?
I really can't remember any story, to be honest with you. But whatever we do, we're all so much split up now. Is that we try to make a point of all coming together for Christmas, every Christmas. Mm-hmm. Either we all go down to my brother's house in Miami, which is a strange place to have Christmas, but we're used to the snow. And, like England has the snow. And America really is not a very Christmassy place. It was just a sweet story. I'm just wrapping up this one minute. We were at Robert Redford's house in Utah. He was a very good friend of mine. And it was actually not Christmas so much, it was just after Christmas, it was like the New Year coming in. Mm-hmm. And we had a big party at Redford's house, and we'd been waiting for 2 months for snow, there'd been nothing. And we were packed, there was me, David Soul, there was lots of Jane Fonda, and it was all the mountains of Utah. He owns a big ski resort up there. Mm-hmm. And everybody was very upset, everybody was going to go home the next day because there was no snow. So I was just singing songs, everybody was listening on the floor, the fire was going. Dead on the stroke of midnight, he has a roof that's all glass. and you can look up, and then on the stroke of midnight, Redford comes running in and said, "It's snowing." It was just very, very nice at the time. Everybody was going to go home. There was no snow. But we all looked up. The whole room was packed. You could see the snow until it covered the roof. That next morning, we had 4 feet.
Oh.
And of course, everybody stayed, and we just skied for days. But I mean, at that night, it was a very touching story.
And
The people had tears in their eyes. It was just almost like out of a movie. Cue came right for the time.
my cue is telling me I have to say goodbye, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And we'll do this again
I hope so.
soon, I'm sure. You are wonderful. I wish you continued success in everything that you do.
Thanks
and I
very
admire
much,
you
love.
and respect you a great deal.
Thank you.